Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I'd like to try something different for a video. I'm going to be looking back at NHL drafts. So typically with NHL drafts, we're all excited about the first pick, the second pick, the third, more of the first round. We don't really hear too much about the rounds after round number 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. In today's video, we're going to look back at some of the best late draft steals in NHL history. Now for late draft steals, I'm going to look at players that were drafted in the 6th round or later. So not going to be looking at round number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just after round number 5. So some of these are quite surprising. Some Hall of Famers, some of the best players of all time have been drafted pretty late. So that credit goes to the scouts of the team mostly to pick out some diamonds in the rough and bring late draft steals into NHL All-Stars and Hall of Famers. So in this video, I'm going to be counting down my top 15 best late draft steals in NHL draft history. Of course, leave comments below if there's guys that I may have missed, some guys that you would put in the list instead of others. I'm going to be ranking some honorable mentions at the end of the list as well. Do leave a like if you enjoyed it. I appreciate the support, guys. Subscribe if you're new so don't miss out on any of the content. Going to be bringing you guys a lot of baseball and hockey related content on the channel. And here comes the best late draft picks in NHL history. Now, starting off the list, I'm going to include the individual awards and accomplishments of each player on our screen. Starting at number 15, we have Henrik Lundqvist, the King of New York, still playing at 37 years old. He was picked way back in the 7th round, 205th overall in the 2000 NHL Entry Draft by the Rangers. So, known for being one of the great goaltenders of our generation, he was a very late pick. He has 449 wins so far, 309 losses, 96 OT losses, .918 save percentage, 2.43 goals against, and 64 shutouts. At number 14, we have Igor Larionov, known for playing for the Detroit Red Wings. He was actually drafted by the Vancouver Canucks all the way in the 11th round, 214th overall, the 1985 NHL Entry Draft. He played 921 games, ended up with 169 goals, 475 assists for 644 points. A pretty good playoff performer in 150 playoff games, ended up with 97 points, 30 goals, and 67 assists. At number 13, we have a goaltender who scored a goal in this season, Pekka Rinne. He was picked way back in the 8th round, 258 overall in the 2004 NHL Entry Draft by the Nashville Predators, the team who he's played his entire career with so far. He is known as one of the best goaltenders in the league every year. So far in his career, racked up 358 wins, 199 loss, 73 OT losses. He does have a .917 save percentage as well as a 2.41 goals against, 58 shutouts, and like I mentioned, recently just scored a goal. Pekka Rinne can do it all. At number 12, we have Peter Bondra, known for being a great goal scorer for the Washington Capitals. He was drafted by them in 1990, 8th round, 156 overall. He did end up playing 1,081 games, 503 goals, 389 assists, 892 points. Ended up with 30 goals and 26 assists for 56 points in 80 playoff games. At number 11, just missing out on our top 10, we have Gary Suter, drafted by the Calgary Flames in the 1984 Entry Draft, back in the 9th round, 180th overall. He was a defenseman who played 1,144 games, 203 goals. He had 642 assists, 845 points, ended up with 1,349 penalty minutes as well. For his playoff career, he was very good. 108 games played, 17 goals, 56 assists for 73 points. Great defenseman. Starting off our top 10, we have the Russian Rocket, Pavel Bure, known for being a great goal scorer in this league. He was drafted in the 6th round, 113 overall by the Vancouver Canucks in the 1989 NHL Entry Draft. Used to play with those great jerseys with the skate in front that the Vancouver Canucks now have as an alternate. Love those jerseys. I mean, he had over 100 points and 60 goals back-to-back years following his rookie season. That's just crazy. In 702 games, he ended up with 437 goals, 342 assists, 779 points. In 64 playoff games, he did have 70 points, equally split between 35 goals and 35 assists, so more than a point per game player in the playoffs, known for his great speed and goal-scoring ability. At number 9, I have Steve Larmer, a forward who was drafted in the 6th round, 128th overall by the Chicago Blackhawks in 1980. He did play almost his entire career with the Blackhawks, 2 seasons with the New York Rangers. He ended up in 1,006 games to have 441 goals, 571 assists, 1,012 points. In his playoff career, almost a point per game, 140 playoff games with 56 goals, 75 assists, and 131 points. At number 8, we have Theo Fleury, drafted by the Calgary Flames. He was drafted back in the 8th round, 166 overall in the 1987 draft. He ended up just over a point per game, 1,084 games, 1,088 points. He had 455 goals, 633 assists, 1,840 penalty minutes. In his playoff career, he played 77 games. He had 79 points, 34 goals, 45 assists. So just over a point per game player in the NHL and in the playoffs. Theo Fleury comes in at number 8. Number 7 is the first of a couple of Detroit Red Wings, Henrik Zetterberg. He's played with the Red Wings his entire career after being drafted in the 7th round, 210th overall in the 1999 NHL Entry Draft. He was a captain for the team. He played in 1,082 games, 337 goals, 623 assists, 960 points. For his playoff career, 137 games played, 57 goals, 63 assists for 120 points. One of the great Detroit Red Wings of the past 20 years. At number 6, we have another Detroit Red Wing, the magician himself, Pavel Datsyuk, one of the greatest stick handlers of all time. Drafted in the 6th round, 171st overall by the Red Wings, who he's played his entire NHL career with, as well as Zetterberg. In the 1998 Entry Draft, for his NHL career in 953 games, finished with 314 goals, 604 assists, 918 points. He did play in 157 playoff games with 42 points, 42 goals, 71 assists, 113 points. When Pavel Datsyuk had the puck, good luck taking it from him. Starting off our top 5, we have a former captain of the Ottawa Senators, Daniel Alfredsson, who played all but one season of his NHL career with the Sens, who drafted him in the 6th round, 133rd overall in the 1994 Entry Draft. Definitely one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Ottawa Senator of all time. 1,246 games played, 444 goals, 713 assists for 1,157 points. He did have 100 points in 124 career playoff games, 51 goals, 49 assists. Now at number 4, we have Doug Gilmour, who played with many different hockey teams. He was drafted by the St. Louis Blues in the 7th round, 134th overall, the 1982 NHL Entry Draft. Finished his career with 1,474 games played, 1,414 points. He had 450 goals, 964 assists, finished with just over 1,300 penalty minutes. His playoff career, he was more than a point per game, 182 games played, 188 points, 60 goals, 128 assists. Starting off our top 3, one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, Brett Hull. He was drafted in the 6th round, 117th overall by the Calgary Flames in 1984. He only played 3 seasons with the Flames before going to the Blues. He then played with the Stars and Red Wings and Coyotes. So in 1,269 games, finished with 1,391 points, over 100 points more than games played. He had 741 goals, 650 assists For his playoff career, 202 games, 103 goals, 87 assists, 190 points. The man scored 700 plus goals in his career, and 116 picks went before him. That's crazy. Now at number 2, lucky Luc Robitaille. He was drafted in the 9th round, 171st overall by the Kings in 1984. 170 picks passed up on Robitaille, who ended up getting 1,394 points in 1,431 games, 668 goals, 726 assists. He ended up with 127 points in 159 playoff games, split between 58 goals and 69 assists. One of the great players of all time, Luc Robitaille. Now, before we discuss number 1 on my list, I want to go through a few honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention I have is Patric Hornqvist, currently playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Only one of a couple active players that are on my list. Now, the reason I have Patric Hornqvist, and he was actually drafted last overall, the last pick of the entire 2005 NHL Entry Draft, 238 overall in the 7th round by the Nashville Predators. He started with Nashville, ended up with Pittsburgh, and was a big part of their back-to-back Cup championships in 16 and 17. He played 753 career games so far with 233 goals, 236 assists, 469 points. He did have 44 points in 86 career playoff games as well. My second honorable mention will be Andrew Brunette, who was drafted by the Washington Capitals in the 7th round, 174th overall in the 1993 entry draft. He played with many different teams, getting 733 points in 1,110 games. The first of a couple of goaltenders, Manny Legace was picked in the 8th round, 188th overall in the 1993 NHL Entry Draft by the Hartford Whalers. He ended up with 187 wins, 100 losses, 42 OT losses or ties, a .911 save percentage, a 2.42 goals against, and 24 shutouts. Now, 2 more honorable mentions to go before we discuss number 1. I'm going to go with Andrei Markov of the Montreal Canadiens. Played his entire NHL career with the Habs. Drafted in the 6th round, 162nd overall in the 1998 NHL Entry Draft. Finished his career in the NHL with 990 games played and 572 points. Great defenseman for the Canadiens. Now, my last honorable mention is going to go to Ron Hextall, known for his fighting ability, but also a great goaltender. He was drafted in the 6th round, 119th overall in the 1982 NHL Entry Draft by the Philadelphia Flyers. He actually played almost his entire career with the Flyers, but 1 year with the Quebec Nordiques. Ended up with 296 wins, 214 losses, 69 ties or OT losses. He ended up with a .895 save percentage, a 2.98 goals against, 23 shutouts, and 584 penalty minutes. He is a goaltender, ladies and gentlemen. He could fight. Now, at number 1, in my opinion, this wasn't even a contest. The Dominator, Dominik Hasek, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, was drafted in the 10th round, 199th overall in the 1983 NHL Entry Draft by the Chicago Blackhawks. That's right, he was not drafted by the Sabres. He actually played with the Blackhawks, the Sabres, the Red Wings, and the Senators. He ended up with 389 wins, 223 losses, 95 ties or OT losses, .922 save percentage, 81 shutouts. So Dominik Hasek is number 1 on my list. Definitely the best late round steal ever in the NHL, in my opinion. I mean, 198 people passed on Dominik Hasek. Imagine, like, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, a bunch of Vezina trophies. I know Chicago made the right choice in drafting him, but unfortunately he did not last long with the Blackhawks. had most of his success with the Sabres and Red Wings. And that's going to do it for the video, guys. Definitely put comments below. What are your opinions on this list? Are there players that you would have put instead of mine? Or are there players that maybe you forgot and passed out on? So definitely let me know. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.